hello everybody and welcome to round 4 of season 4 of AAOL. Tonight's match is between Shikis, Harem and Nerve. Both sides are looking for their second win in this season of AAOL. Joining me here for this broadcast tonight is Queso. Hi Queso.
Hello Swift, how are you?
I am good, thank you. So we'll be starting off tonight's match here on Lijiang Tower, and maps 2 and 3 will be Rialto and Hanamura respectively. So I'm going to start things off here, and both sides are running similar team compositions, but Blinkrupt is running that Orisa, which is interesting. Orisa change in the most recent patch makes that supercharger a little bit quicker to obtain, so we'll see if that comes into play here, but it's going to be Nerve that is setting up on the point to begin with, and Shikis Harem will be looking for a little bit of an opening, but it is going to be difficult with these tanks blocking the entrance on the point, and it is going to be Nerve who are able to start building that control percentage, and Flamefly finds a kill onto Education up in the sky, but Jiffy does get an important trade onto Halak. Be anyone's game at the moment, but RKM does get that res off onto Halak, while the Farah in the sky for Nerve is also taken out. So I think perhaps Nerve might give up a little bit of space here as Shikis Harem does try and find their way onto the point, but it's looking a little bit difficult now as they're Shikis Harem McCree, and I'm going to try and say that name. Taikuru, is it? I don't know. And Shikis Harem is able to start building their own control percentage, Queso.
Found that to be a really interesting first fight there. Both teams running a little bit of an unconventional team comp, and it's nice, I think, to see heroes that are not necessarily always being played here. So obviously Shikis Harem is opting for McRae, who also was buffed a little bit with his Deadeye having a really increased range, but not too sure whether that'll make much of a difference on as far as really far away. But ultimately, I think that double hit scan can really counter the Farah on Nerve.
And there's a supercharger sound barrier combo to begin with, and it's quite effective as they do get the opening 3 picks there, but they did commit a lot of ultimates, and well, they should be able to take the point off the back of that. But Queso, do you think they used too much to try and take this point?
I don't think that was too significant. They managed to cap the point, and they've still got a couple ults in the bank. So going forwards, I think, you know, Nerve still has their whole hog that can be a really good denial of space, and Mercy's going to have her ultimate as well very soon. So not too much, I don't think. We should see how that goes.
Alright, so for Shikis Harem, they are going to be looking to use this I can't even remember what it's called. Zarya ult, the Graviton Surge, that's what it's called, but not going to be able to because Flamefly does get a really good pick onto Jiffy there. And it's going to be Education coming in on that Soldier 76 with that tactical visor. And well, not really looking too good for Nerve early here as they do lose a lot of members of their team, but the whole hog does come out from the side of Nerve, and it does bump DJ Rufio off the map. And while all this is going on, it's going to be Nerve building up their control percentage to 89%. So as far as Nerve's concerned, if they can win the next team fight, they've got a lot of ultimates in which they can do that as well, Queso. Then they should be able to take this first round.
I mean, XR Cameron here is really terrorizing DJ Rufio, getting some incredible hooks, and there with that whole hog denial of space. Effective use of that ultimate. A little bit unfortunate that it might have come out a little bit too late, and also once their Mercy was down, so it wasn't the most effective play, but I think still in the end it's showing the power of Orisa Hog, and if they have a little bit more coordination, they should be able to cap this point again.
And that Deadeye does come out from Flamefly, but it doesn't find anything through the shield, but Flamefly is able to get a pick. Oh gosh, that all happened very quickly. Flamefly did get a pick onto Jiffy, but while all that was happening, DJ Rufio and the Reinhardt doing work and cleaning up a few kills of his own, so it's looking very good here now for Shikis Harem as they're nearly at 100%, and it's just Halak on the point, trying to keep things going just a little bit. But Elf on the Farah in the sky is able to trade kills with Soldier 76. That was an interesting one. Halak still on the point, and he's able to bring out that sound barrier, so that's going to give everyone in his team a bit of a boost as Blinkrupt on that Orisa's looking to do a lot of damage. He's got another supercharger ready now on the ground. As a couple of other ults do come out from Nerve, and that's going to be a hammer down coming out from DJ Rufio. I don't know that it does find anything though, but it is looking like for Shikis Harem is that they are getting work done, and DJ Rufio just got a very quick triple kill, and I think it's just Halak and Blinkrupt left on the point now for Nerve. Now are going to be finished up soon, I would hope. Halak got a lot of time just walking around that point in that case though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Lucio with that wall riding improvement means that it's even harder to hit, able to stay on the point for a very long time.
So you can't say Nerve aren't trying at this point. They are doing a little bit of putting in a lot of work here trying to stall the point, but that doesn't matter if they're just going to be trickling in one by one. So that was a very well contested first round on Lijiang Tower, I think.
Yeah, and definitely as the weeks pass by and the Swiss bracket starts to even out the games, they're going to get more and more competitive. And
I think, and that's what we're saying here. That's what we're seeing here too. Is both of these teams have only got one win on the board. So coming out of this, one of them will be ahead. But right now they are pretty evenly matched up.
Yeah, and I think at the moment the biggest deciding factor is team composition. And Nerve went in with that Orisa Hog, fairly standardized.
Well, look, and
not seeing much playtime at the moment. But
and it did work well to begin with. That has to be said. So, interesting. We're seeing education on the Doomfist here now on this map, but it's going to be Teitoku on the Pharah getting an early pick onto Blinkrupt on that Zarya. RKM is able to get that Resurrect up, and just as well, or that team fight would have been over to begin with. It's going to be Shikis Harem coming into the point, and it looks like DJ Rufio is being a really good leader for these guys in game at the moment. And calling targets and finding kills. He's been doing so much work by himself, but Flamefly and Zer Cameron are able to find 2 picks to open up with, but the 2 trades do come in from Shikis Harem, so it's anyone's game on the point until Teitoku. Some of these names are giving me a hard time tonight. He's able to find 2 kills on this guy in the Pharah, but Janice and Teitoku again clean up another couple of kills, and I think it's just going to be Halak on that Lucio causing a bit of nuisance on that point, stalling it out once again.
Yeah, really strange decision there in the middle of that fight for Cameron to charge off the edge, catching Education, I believe, and going off, but sacrificing himself in that 2000 HP shield, not necessarily.
And that is a very early rocket barrage, and it does pay off because they I'm gonna have to keep practicing saying this. Teitoku on the Pharah finds 3 kills before this team fight really starts, and well, Shikis Harem are just cleaning up Nerve at the moment, unable to even push through this choke. But Flamefly does find an opening pick onto Education, loses his own life as well. So, okay, so DJ Rufio is looking like a really important part of this team at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. He was being binned a little bit by Cameron in the first round, but at the moment, he's really leading his team, keeping that shield in optimal spots, and it's quite an effective play from him.
Alright, so Nerve are looking to find a way into this point. It is going to be the Meteor Strike. DJ Rufio just flies off the point there, and for Nerve it looks like they've done just enough, and they've used quite a number of ultimates to try and capture this point, but it does mean that they are going to start building control percentage. They did use both of their support ultimates, plus the Doomfist ultimate there to take the point, but they were desperate to start getting some control percentage on the board. So it's going to be Shikis Harem being really disciplined here and setting up for their next fight quite promptly, as they are sort of looking away down the back, but they do have to be careful because Halak is on this Lucio and is able to do a bit of booping around the edges. Jiffy gets really low, but is able to use that Zarya personal bubble. Is Education going to find 2 picks there, and I think for Shikis Harem, they are going to take back this point quite quickly, although they did use a couple of ultimates for it there, Queso.
Yeah, that was a quite decisive team fight there, and I think that we're really seeing how Shikis Harem are able to play a little bit more slower and use their ultimates to their advantage. Again, they overcommit a tiny bit, but I think that should see them in good stead as they make their progress towards the 100% mark.
Absolutely. So both sides with a Graviton Surge, but that Earth Shatter does come out from Zerkamera, and he does find a pick onto Jiffy before they are able to use that Graviton Surge. As far as Blinktrop concerns, that's a massive, massive Graviton Surge. It's a quadruple kill coming in from Flamefly with that Meteor Strike. And so Nerve are going to be feeling good after that team fight.
Yeah, it's definitely showing they are relatively close in terms of ability, these two teams, and if Nerve are able to work together as a team, play together nice and slowly, they can.
They do lose Blinkrupt early though, and they've got to be careful because at the moment it is Shiki's Harem with that ultimate advantage. DJ Rufio does find two very quick picks to begin with, but there's not really much Nerve can do because they are at a numbers disadvantage at the moment, and okay, so I'm having trouble with this name. Taitoku's making such a big difference, or making such an impact for Shiki's Harem on the Genji, on the Pharah, putting in a lot of work, so...
yeah, I think it's Taitoku, but I don't know. It's two vowels that you don't really put together ordinarily.
It wouldn't be a problem if he wasn't doing so much, but he's doing so much work at the moment on that DPS role, and Flamefly's going to be happy pressing Q there and taking all of those kills.
That was a really good play, yeah.
Alright, so okay, so I know you're looking forward to our next map, Rialto, and haven't seen it very much in the competitive scene just yet because it's quite a new map. What can you tell us, and what should we be looking out for on this map?
Well, Rialto is a really interesting one. I think it's one of the most balanced escort maps. I think that there's really good attack and defense options, but most notably is first corner alleyway. Really tight. Once the cart's moving through there, there's barely even enough space for a Reinhardt to pass either side. So I think that's a really good defensible spot, and it's pretty easy. I would suggest for a team to full hold there. So quite looking forward to seeing if they're able to do that, and all the bridges as well. If we see perhaps Cameron bringing out that hog gain, he would be having a field day.
Yeah. I hadn't even considered that. So because it's a untested map in the AAOL, I guess both of these sides are kind of going to have their own thoughts about strategies and trying out what works and what doesn't, because neither of these sides are probably going to have experience playing as a team on this map.
Yeah, well, definitely. It depends certainly on how early they've been scrimming, but fortunately it has been on competitive for, God, I'd like to say about a month or so now. So, they've definitely seen it. People getting familiar with, where the health packs are. There's some certainly interesting walls and such on this map, especially there's a wall separating second and third point. I've seen, I think it's the first point and the second point, rather. There's a wall there, which if you get a Mei, you can rappel over that wall and skip half the map and all be on the payload and backcap the point without the enemy team even knowing that you've done that. So there's certainly interesting point.
And that's the thing about this map, is that a lot of the spawns are closer than you... Well, some are closer and some are further than you would normally expect on an escort map.
Yeah.
Is it point B for the defending side that's really close to their spawn, where it's quite a hike for the attacking side?
Yeah, definitely. And that's where that Mei strat comes in. The incredible lengths that you have to go to walk you know, from your first. Well, once you've capped the first point, then your new spawn for attacking team there, which is near the courtyard on first point, which is such a hike to get to. Basically, you know, a solid, I'd say 60% of the map that you have to waltz past. So getting that may, perhaps you sacrifice a bit of damage, but you can wall yourself over that small quirk of the map and have your entire team on the other side. So, you know, there's definitely options for strategic plays.
Alright, so we're just waiting for both of these sides to get ready. Very eager for this map. And from what we've seen so far, Shikis Harem do have a little bit of an upper hand, but both of these sides are playing very competitively, and it must be said they are giving it their all. So I think the standout players at the moment for me, well, I don't know, because DJ Rufio, Education, and Taitoko are all playing really well, together. There hasn't really been that standout player for me yet on the side of Nerve, so they're going to have to convince me. I do think Flamefly has been playing rather well, but I do think most of that side is struggling a little bit given how strongly Shikis Harem are playing so far.
Well, yeah, and again, the power of Shikis Harem can indeed come from perhaps being strong on Lijiang Tower, or perhaps all of the sort of control point maps in general. But I think ultimately this is still a really close game, and you know, we've only had 3 weeks of the AAOL, but here we are in week 4, and it's getting closer. These are not as, you know, one-sided dominant affairs as perhaps in weeks prior. I'm just going to take a quick look at team comp now, though, with Shikis Harem now on the defense.
And we're seeing an Orisa again.
Yeah, going for that Orisa Hog, and I'm very excited by that because Orisa obviously has that mini grav halt ability, so you can, you know, doing a little tester there actually, just making sure DJ Rufio knows the distance that you need to suck people off to the side of these maps, and it's quite a good map for that. Boop, control,
yep.
and things like that.
And another good map, another good thing this map's good for is Widowmakers, and so we're seeing both of these sites so far on Widowmaker. You'd often see Hanzo in this map as well, but we haven't seen Hanzo from either of these sides yet, so it's going to be Taitoku and Elf NZ battling it out on Widowmaker here. So
yeah, I think that is a bit strange though, because the Hanzo is really strong, so perhaps the side that gets him out first is the side that might be able to bring home the victory.
And DJ Rufio attempting to do that halt off the side, but unsuccessful. Elf NZ did find that opening pick onto Taitoku, so that's going to be something Nerve feels good about, but Jiffy on that Roadhog is able to take out Halak on the Mercy. Elf NZ gets another pick there on that Widowmaker. The trades are coming in, so Nerve, good start for them, but they are going to need to put in a little bit more work because these 2 tanks on the front line are causing a lot of pain for them. And Cameron's just trying to get a bit of a charge, but he finds himself out of position, and that's going to be a little bit damaging. So I think after that, Nerve are going to have to reset and group up before pushing the payload any further.
Yeah, now the payload is in that that tight alleyway. It's managed to get pushed just a little bit past it, which is quite exciting. So
this is not great for Nerve because they all got caught in that room, caught back, and now Shikis Harem have control of this alleyway. So it's going to be really difficult for Nerve to get back in, and they're sort of wasting time now. Halak losing their life. I don't know what happened there. Perhaps fell into the river. And Education and Taitoku also get picked. So I think for Nerve, they just need to take a breath, get their act together a little bit, and find a way in. And hopefully Elf's going to be able to find an opening pick to help them do that.
Well, yeah, now here they are in that choke. So
Education does make that pick for them. I don't know what happened there. Must have perhaps fallen in that river as well. And Elf NZ does get another pick, but it's going to be the Dragon Blade coming out from Flamefly, getting pick onto Janice, and Shikis Harem are being forced all the way back now as that payload's going to start moving. So very good chance here for Nerve to capture point A as they are stalling out the members of Shikis Harem there.
Yeah, these points are quite long and windy though, so I wouldn't be surprised if they managed to get a contest on here.
Alright, so the payload is edging closer, and you are right, Queso, Shikis Harem are looking to put in the contest, and Jiffy is able to find an opening pick onto RKM with Taitoku on the Genji taking out the Reinhardt, and well, it's quite a good contest because Nerve are going to be forced all the way back to their spawn, and that payload's right on the edge of point A, so it's going to be very difficult for them to win the next team fight, and given the distance between the spawn and that point, they've only really got 2 team fights at best to take that second point.
Yeah, and you're right. Once the spawn advantage comes in for Shikis Harem, I think it's going to be a little bit harder for Nerve. They're going to have to work just a bit harder. They've got a decent team comp, and Flamefly on the barrage should be able to help them, but ultimately it'll probably come down to ults.
So Flamefly on that Pharah is able to get a lot of damage in there, and Taitoku with the Dragon Blade does take out Halak. But sort of looking like anyone's game at the moment. There's certainly not another team fight in this, so Nerve are going to need to go all the way, and that pick onto Hypebeast on that Mercy is going to help, and I think perhaps Nerve's done just enough, and they get Flamefly in the sky is getting very close to that rocket barrage as well, so perhaps, yeah, Shikis Harem deciding not to come in and contest, but it was looking very close there for Nerve, Queso.
Yeah, RKM there was putting in the extra hard yards there. There was some fantastic orbs of destruction being thrown out, and he should really be pleased with himself. Managed to deal a lot of damage and help them cap that point, which was looking a bit dire there.
And so I'm interested at the moment because Flamefly 12 on that Pharah is doing a lot of work, but he's got to be careful because, of course, there is that Widowmaker out and about, so hasn't been too much of a trouble so far, but Education on that Widowmaker shoots him straight out of the sky, so perhaps it might be something to think about.
Yeah, I'm not too sure whether not mating the Widow with the Widow. Well, I mean, we see here Alphenz has switched back over now, so fortunately there'll be a bit of a contest there for who is the best Widow, and as we can see, the Education asserting his dominance.
And so Flamefly is deciding to stick on this Pharah despite the challenge from the Widowmaker. Perhaps he wants to use that rocket barrage, but he's going to need to come up with something impressive from it because they've only got 1:20, so perhaps 2 team fights now to push the cart to point B, and this point B is very hard for the attacking side to get to, so they are coming over the bridge now behind the safety of Cameron's Reinhardt shield. So DJ Rufio on that Orisa is putting in a lot of damage, but Education finds Flamefly in the sky yet again, and he's got to be questioning this pick on the Pharah by now. It is an Earth Shudder that does come out from Cameron though. So far it hasn't found anything, but Flamefly does get resurrected and is able to get his revenge onto Education, and Cameron does get a pick onto Jiffy. And there's the rocket barrage that we've been waiting for. Does it pay off? Well, maybe it just does, because Nerve are going to win this team fight, but Janice does get a little bit of revenge in the end with that kill onto RKM, and so now it's just DJ Rufio by himself on that Orisa, and he does get stalled out, so it's still a bit close here for Nerve. It's going to be a challenge for them to push it all the way to point B, and losing their Reinhardt at the start of that fight that far forward is not going to help, especially in that resurrect onto DJ Rufio, that Orisa. And so Nerve, with 10 seconds on the clock, are going to have to try and push this in overtime. It's looking very tight. This is a very bad position for them to get stuck in, and so they do have someone contesting the payload, and Flamefly is on that sky. Alphenz does get that important pick onto the enemy Widow. Education does get taken down, but there is a trade there. Janice taking out RKM. Alphenz does find another pick, but it's going to be Hypebeast and the Battle Mercy taking out that Widowmaker as the Resurrect does come through into Janice, so it's looking a bit difficult here for Nerve. But Cameron on that Reinhardt does take out DJ Rufio, does take out Janice, and well, perhaps Nerve are going to be able to push it through. They do have to be careful though, because it is overtime, and There, the Dragon Blade does come out from Taitoku. Doesn't find anything. Cameron does find a good pick there onto Education. And the Rocket Barrage comes out once again from Flamefly, and it takes out Hype Beast on that Mercy. And so this is a very prolonged team fight we're seeing now. Shows you how bad Nerve want to push it all the way to point B. And Elf NZ switched over to that Genji last minute there. When did that happen? And so does find 3 really important picks there. And so Nerve are looking quite strong here. Education on that Tracer has come in to try and stall the payload. But Queso, in the end, it's Nerve. They are able to take point B.
Yeah, that was a really great team fight there. Shikis Harem were perhaps playing a little bit sloppy. Unfortunately for them, they didn't have that calm, methodical gameplay that we've seen from them before, and they're just a little bit slapdash, I think. And in the end, I think Nerve were able to take that to their advantage. And
look, I really want to give Elf credit. He had the foresight to switch onto that Genji. Yes, Widowmaker's not good on this last point, but he could have stayed onto that Widowmaker to try and push to point B, but instead he decided to be aggressive. And I think that's going to pay dividends because he does have the Dragon Blade up now. So I think that's a very good move by him. So it's going to be that Transcendence coming out now from Janice. Nerva looking a little bit desperate now that there's only 30 seconds on the clock, so they are going to have to try and find an entry here. But the Earth Shatter does come out from DJ Rufio, and it's quite a big Earth Shatter. It finds all of them, but no direct kills as a result. And Flamefly still in the sky on that Pharaoh. Does get a pick onto Education there. It's going to be Halak and Hypebeast, both sides bringing out the Mercy ult, and the Self-Destruct also comes out, finds nothing, but it's going to be a one-man rocket barrage there onto the Roadhog, and it doesn't find anything. So Flamefly is going to be trying to clean up this last kill, but while that's happening, his team's falling all around him out here, and it doesn't look like that they're in a position to push the payload all the way, and it looks like, well, Shikis Harem's found a way to hold the payload very close to point C.
Really devastated there. Cameron had a fantastic 4-man shatter, and it's just a little bit of a lack of communication, I think. Not as communication and/or, I suppose, some coordination.
And while all that was happening too, Flamefly sort of doing his own thing in the sky on Pharah, not really staying with the rest of his team, sort of looking for picks out and about the place. When, in actual fact, he probably could have helped his team get a few picks in the main corridor and then gone off to find some other picks. So the coordination does seem a little bit lacking. I think Elf really stepped up on that Genji towards the end there, and I think that made all the difference.
Yeah, I think so. Now the roles are swapped, and it's coming out to be a defense for... we're going to see the defense of Nerve now, see if they can hold it off. They had a great push. And it looks like they're going to defend with the Eraser.
So we're seeing a lot of Eraser tonight, and I'm not sure whether that's related to this change to the Supercharger, where it's essentially it's 15% quicker to get that ultimate up. So interesting, because we don't usually see this much Eraser, do we, Queso?
No, I don't really think that we do. But again, I'm not sure whether that's perhaps the new meta. I wouldn't consider that to be the case, but I think that the teams are testing out some new things. Perhaps Ranzar's getting a bit stale, but fortunately Shikis...
Look, this is quite unconventional too. At the moment, Elf and Flamefly on Soldier 76 and Reaper respectively for this defense. No Widowmaker in sight, so this is like really quite unconventional as far as payload map defenses go. So we're going to see how it works out, because I can't remember the last time I've seen Soldier 76 in an AAOL match. So let's see how it goes as Shikis Harem does roll out, and in rolling out, RKM does find that first pick onto Jiffy, and then Cameron is able to get a hook. And so maybe this defense is working out for them. Okay, so...
Yeah, well, that's the power of the Eraser Hog, I guess, on this map. There's a lot of...
and there's Brigitte as well. And so we see here Reaper is able to go in deep, and I guess this is something you do forget about, not seeing Reaper very much. He's able to go in deep and get behind, but he does find himself caught out of position a little bit there as Janus does get a bit of a right click onto him. So Shikis Harem are able to find a bit of space here now. Education getting that punch onto Cameron, and well, RKM's a bit of out of place there. So I think that was a good initial setup defense from Nerve, and they've sort of made a couple of mistakes here and being pushed back, and I think now would be a good time to get out and try and set up to contest point A. Elf does get a good Helix rocket kill there onto Education, but Taitoku on the Widowmaker does find Cameron somewhere in the back line of Nerve, and Elf's being very aggressive. He's pushed up quite far. And Halak does get a resurrect onto Zer Cameron though, so that's going to be important. But Taitoku does find Elf NZ somewhere. And so there's Transcendence coming out there from Janus, and that does help. The rally also came out there from RKM, but Education does find a punch onto Flamefly, but it's going to be Cameron with the whole hog getting that pick onto DJ Rufio, and it's going to be the Tactical Visor coming up from Elf NZ, and it's looking quite even here. Both sides putting in a lot of effort, and Halak for the side of Nerve does get that resurrect, but does get caught in that Earth Shatter as well. RKM does find another pick there onto DJ Rufio, and I think Nerve are holding strong together as a team here, just ahead of point A. Okay, so that was a very strong defense.
Yeah, it was, definitely. I think the ultimates were used when they needed to be, and Nerve put on a good show, defending where their opponent held them as well, and at about the same time. So
Nerve are going to be happy here, holding it this far back as well. It's going to be difficult for Shikis Harem to come this far, and perhaps they have one good team fight left. Two of their disciplined, and Flamefly has switched onto that Genji as well, so after Reaper. RKM getting so many picks, and what's Education thinking? Running this Tracer against this Brigitte, it doesn't seem very logical to me. Flamefly does get a little bit unlucky there, getting picked out of the sky by Taituko on that Widowmaker. So nothing's really happening, so the clock's sort of just running down a little bit here for Shikis Harem, but Jiffy is able to get a pick onto Zo Cameron while he's in that whole hog, and RKM putting in a lot of effort, and it's going to be the Earth Shatter coming out from DJ Rufio though. Doesn't find anything, and it's just Nerve in the kill feed getting all of these kills, and they're set up so well with only 25 seconds on the clock. So this is going to be Shikis Harem's last chance to capture point A here on Rialto. Queso?
Yeah, I think they need to switch it up right now. They need to go for maybe a dive comp or something.
And they do, because Toko's just switched off that Widowmaker onto that Genji. For some reason, Education is still opting for this Tracer, so he's going to hope to try and find something, but Halak is going to open up with the Valkyrie in the sky, and he does get a pick onto Janus in the backline, but it's going to be the Graviton Surge coming out from Giffy, and perhaps that's what Education was waiting for in the Tracer, that Pulse Bomb combination with the Graviton Surge, and perhaps it's going to be just enough to get them over the line and push past point A. Okay, so what just happened there?
There's an exceptional play there from Jiffy and Education. They coordinated and they pulled out the two key ultimates when it comes down to the wire like that.
And I do feel a bit bad. I was doubting him on that Tracer, but I guess perhaps he just wanted that Pulse Bomb, and it worked out in that combination with the Graviton Surge. So Shikis Harem just looking to push it over the bridge now. I think the good contest has come in here from Nerve, as they did look to try and contest that point last minute, but were a little bit late. RKM causing a lot of havoc for Education here on that Tracer, but the Dragon Blade does come out from Flamefly, as does the rally from RKM, and well, Halak is able to get a boop onto Jiffy, and RKM gets another kill onto Education on that Tracer. Education! Do you think he's going to switch off that Tracer? And despite having, he does switch to a Sombra case. So what do you read into that?
Well, it's certainly an option. I'm not sure whether that's what they need here for this attack. You can't hack the fact that this map is very ridge and choke orientated, so I mean, yeah, sans hacking the game files, I suppose, but I'm not too sure whether that is the right pick. I think that they need to...
And look, it doesn't matter what hero Education's playing. RKM is able to take him out once again, and it's going to be the Tactical Visor coming out from Elf. Does get a pick onto Janice, getting very close, does get the pick onto Jiffy as well, but Taitoku on that Reaper, we're seeing Reaper once again. But this time on the other side, and the Hog does come out from Cameron, and quite a dangerous ultimate on this map, and Taitoku's looking to do a little bit of tank busting, but does get hooked there by Cameron. And okay, so Cameron's looking very good on this Roadhog, but it looks like perhaps Shikis Harem's doing just enough. And they're not going to have enough time to push it all the way. So if they are going to push it and hit point B, it is going to be in overtime. So they've got to be very careful here. They could get trapped in the corner, and it could be they push all over. So be very careful. They do have that Transcendence about to come online. They do have that EMP that's very close to coming online too. So, oh, well, that's a very bad start with Zer Cameron getting a pick onto Hype Beast. That Mercy. The Dragon Blade does come out from Flamefly. He's looking for something with it. Hasn't found anything just yet because that Transcendence did come out from Janice. The Rally does come out from RKM, but so does that Death Blossom, which isn't something that we've seen for a while, and it does find 3 picks. Taitoku looking to carry his team on this Reaper, and he's doing a good job so far. We've got a little bit further to push, but it is in overtime, so LFNZ is flanking a little bit here. He's in the back. And so Nerve are going to look to try and contest right here, and it's going to be another Tactical Visor coming out from LFNZ. He gets a pick onto Taitoku, which is a great opening pick to get. Flamefly does find a pick onto Jiffy, but it's going to be DJ Rufio with the Earth Shatter, changing the game completely. He finds 3 kills on the back of that at least, and Flamefly is trying to make a difference there on the Genji. There's not much that he can really do. Education does get his revenge there on RKM and Zer Cameron, so perhaps Shikis Harem have done enough, but it's going to be Flamefly with another Dragon Blade. He's getting awfully low. He does get picked out of the sky by the opposing Genji. Both sides just brawling on the point at the moment. It's so close to point B, and Shikis Harem are getting really desperate, but they are at the disadvantage given how far they have to go from their spawn to this point. So Nerve are going to look for a couple of kills to stabilize here, and I think they have just picked them up with 3 kills. Janice does get 2 picks, but it's not going to be enough because Nerve, Zer Cameron on the whole hog there does push them back off the payload, and Nerve does find their first win in this series. Queso, we're going to map 3, which is going to decide this series.
Yeah, that was a really good defense on the part of Nerve there, and I'm a little bit confused as to why Shikis Harem, Taitoku, as I was about to say about 2 minutes ago, that Sombra pick wasn't necessarily working for them, and wasn't
and before that too, the Tracer pick.
Because they really just needed that Reaper. He's got such a tank busting potential. I mean, I can understand perhaps you may want to hack the, hack some of the sort of irritating abilities from, an Eraser or a Hog, especially the ones that cause you to go into the drink, environmental kills. But I think that the Reaper pick was much more important. And as we saw, the second that he picked that up and got a significant amount of damage, but burst damage into the tanks, and then charge up that ultimate very, very quickly. And Graviton plus the Death Blossom, really effective to wipe down the teams. And at the end, they got a good push from that. But then again, we saw Taitoku switch over to, I think, the Genji in the end there, and that's a strange hero choice, because maybe Genji or a Tracer, one or the other, but it was also a strange choice considering that Reaper was really working out for them. So
and like, I just want to add too is that from both of these sides with the DPS players, they sort of did both make last minute clutch switches at the end of team fights on different points. And I think both Flamefly and Elf, as well as Taitoku, they sort of made really clutch plays to give their team a glimmer of hope when perhaps they didn't have it before. Like Taitoku on that Reaper at the end there, a perfect example. But too, Flamefly on the attack, switching up to the Genji just before taking point B. I think it's switches like that and that independence from these DPS players to make those decisions and have the foresight to see what's going to make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, I think that Shikis Harem, I think they were a little bit unfortunate on their defense by virtue of I think a little bit of a sloppy play and a lack of coordination, and Nerve were able to exploit that by going almost 3 points, and then they just needed to got very close to holding the first point, but for the fact that they were unlucky with that combo between the Tracer and the Zarya Graviton Surge. And again, they got very close to being capped. Shikis Harem very close to capping that second point on their attack, but Nerve, I think, had a little bit of a superior team comp, and Shikis Harem just wasn't answering with the right heroes. Speak about ultimates till you blue in the face, but if they're not the right ones to combo, and again, there's Dragon Blades and Tracer Bombs and stuff being thrown out continually in those final moments, and you think, well, what's the point? Like, you're not comboing them, you're not working together, so...
But, okay, so it doesn't really matter what's happened up to this point, because these sides are both tied now. We're going to head into map 3, Hanamura. It's 1-1 at the moment, so whoever wins this next map is going to take this series, and so for both of these sides, whoever wins it is going to be their second win, which is very important. So we're halfway through the Swiss bracket phase of AAOL. Given that this is an assault map, which of these sides do you think is going to be, I guess, stronger?
Well, yeah, I think that definitely is an interesting point, and I'm glad that I think it's probably the first week in the...
It absolutely is. At least the games that we've done where it comes down to this third map.
Yeah, the first game that I've seen so far, which has had an impactful third map. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one. From what I've seen so far, Shikis Harem has that edge on control points, I think, from the Lijiang Tower display. It was quite a good display from them.
That's a good point.
Nerve does have, I think they're finding their rhythm, and that win there on, a timed sort of experience, because obviously Assault does differ from the control, so that timed aspect of needing to capture the points, or, as it were, push the payload in Rialto, I think that does show that this final point is a very, very balanced one. And ultimately, this is going to be a very, very close, clutch final map, and I'm happy because third point maps we haven't seen come into the AOL to decide, at least for our 8:30 games. Now with Hanamura, expecting to see some sort of Ryan Zarya, and indeed both sides are electing to have them. Which is, I think, a really good option here. I would have been a bit disheartened to see Risa Hog. It looks like Shikis Harem is going to go for a bit of a GOATS-style triple tank, triple support lineup, which would be really effective. And
that's the thing about these two teams, 2K, so is that they are willing to go a little bit off script, as it were, and try their own sort of team compositions and play heroes that aren't traditionally seen in these sorts of games. So I do like that about these sides, and whatever they start with is definitely not what they finish up with. They do actively make switches.
Unfortunately for them, Nerve did opt to go for that Junkrat first up, which is a great counter to the triple tank lineup.
Absolutely, but he is taken out by Totoku, but Zer Cameron on that Reinhardt is able to find a pick onto that Diva. He's swinging his hammer around like crazy at the moment, and Janice does get stunned there by Elf on the McCree. It's going to be Toku though on that Zarya, making the whole world of difference, as Education does look to switch to that Widowmaker. So things are looking a little bit messy here. We do see that rally come out from RKM And it looks like that Nerve are able to stabilize here on this defense.
Yeah, and very close to that first tick as well, which is fortunate for them because
I thought they had it. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, but I'm not sold on the Widowmaker pick.
Well, don't think you are now, because that pick onto Blinkrupt, that's going to be very difficult for Halak to resurrect. So I think that Widowmaker pick is justified just in itself. Hype Beast does get out that rally, and DJ Rufio makes that big play with the Earth Shatter, and it does pay off because they do get these opening 2 picks. Halak's finding it hard to keep Cameron healed there on that Reinhardt, and I think this defense is all over now for Nerve. That was really unfortunate. Blinkrupt got caught in front of the choke and got picked by that Widowmaker early, so he wasn't able to participate in that fight, and then I guess for Nerve it all went downhill from there.
Yeah, you basically said everything I was going to say.
Well, and that's the thing, you made that point so you weren't too sure about the Widowmaker on the attack. Doesn't really matter if you get that opening pick onto the Junkrat. You just sit back. There's nothing else you need to do.
Yeah, well, I don't think that was so much. Don't want to detract from Education's play, but I don't think that was so much.
No, it was very stupid of Blinkrupt to be out there. But he's in a great position now because all the members of Shikis Harem are grouped up there, and he's doing so much damage, and he's got that Riptire. He's bringing it out. Education though on that Widowmaker does find it, and Taitoku does slash through Blinkrupt, but it doesn't matter because the rest of his team's putting in so much effort. Elf, RKM and Cameron all getting picks there, and Elf is just going to finish it off with a pick onto Janice on that Moira.
Yeah, I think that was a really effective team fight there because, as you alluded, the Junkrat was in the right place at the right time, and when you elect to go to that top corridor, you essentially forego having space, and that is exactly what happened. Going into that corridor, and you just get absolutely bursted down, and Junkrat's the right pick. So, I mean, well done on Nerf for a really effective hold.
And then too, I'm not sure why, but we're only seeing one tank from the side of Shiki's Harem, and that's the Reinhardt. Would they be better off here? Well, Jiffy's just switched to that D.Va, but would they be better off with the Zarya? And I think Jiffy's just decided that then. Education switching to Sombra yet again. Okay, so he seems to be interested in playing.
Yeah, as to the tanks, I think the problem with running goats or 3-3 first up is how do you switch once it doesn't work? And I think that they're first-hand seeing how that can be an issue, especially when you get stuck with ultimates that you have banked and you want to use, but you need to switch to another hero. And that's the Sombra.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll just butt in there for a second, Queso, because Nerve did very effectively win that team fight there with that Graviton Surge, and Elfenzer does have that infra side out. Sorry, continue.
No, of course, but the really tactical use of ultimate there to hold that choke. It's effective because you deny that space at the bottom ground with the grab, or if they go at the top ground, then you just burst them with the Junkrat. So
they've got to be careful though, because Taitoku has got that Dragon Blade up now, and Nerve are grouped up a little bit together, and he's sort of hunting down the Widowmaker now. So aside from this Earth Shatter and the Dragon Blade, it could be a good combo, but Taitoku with the Shurikens does get a lucky pick onto Elf that is resurrected, but it is going to be the Riptire now coming out from Blinkrupt, and it does find DJ Rufio, and I guess that's quite a significant pick given the impact he's having on the game. And Halak, the Battle Mercy, taking out Janice, and Elf does find a pick onto Taitoku. They're giving up a couple of a tick and a bit here, and that the Sombra EMP does come out from Education. It was a little bit late, so well, I guess they're really trying to go for it here now. DJ Rufio on Education, we're just sort of trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do. I guess Rufio got caught out of position there, and so the rally has come out from RKM, and well, I guess now Shiki's Harem is sort of just staggered. That was a little bit unusual.
Yeah, I often said they're doing a massive amount of work. Certainly won that Widowmaker battle and forced the switch off Widow. And because he had such an impact there, I think Education's thought, I'm going to switch
perhaps
back.
It's the lack of impact Education's having, and I guess we saw that from the Sombra. Wasn't really able to do it. Did get charged that EMP up quite quickly. But,
well, yeah, I'm not so sold on the Sombra.
No, and like, it doesn't matter what hero it is. Education switching between these heroes so often. He's not really building up ultimates that are contributing to the team, and I guess that is a factor to consider. So, both sides now are contesting the point. DJ Rufio, of course, the big macho man out front on the Reinhardt. But Halak, again, Battle Mercy, kill onto Education, and there was nothing he could do about it. Janus does get a pick onto RKM, but both sides are able to use their Mercy Resurrect. But I do think now Shikis Harem are going to be forced to back out a little bit, but maybe not. Education does get an important pick onto Blinkrupt, but they're going to struggle without that Zarya. So I think they've only got 1 minute left here, Shikis Harem, so perhaps they're going to go for it, and the Dragon Blade does come out. Halak and RKM both fall victim at the start there. Blinkrupt with that Riptire coming out now, looking to find someone, and he does find DJ Rufio, so I guess that is an important pick. But Taitoku does find Flamefly on that Zarya, as well as Elf, and it's falling apart a little bit here for Nerve with the impact that Education and Taitoku are making, and Blinkrupt is hunting down Education up top on that Widowmaker at the moment, but he does fall victim, so we're going to see perhaps a stall coming in here from Nerve. That Graviton Surge did come down from Flamefly, and it's going to be Elf on that Mei now. So they are going to look to run down the clock, but also preferably stop them from capturing the point. It is going to be a big ask here as they do lose some members early, but Zerkamri does get an important pick there onto Taitoku. He does fall himself though, but seeing a couple of quick picks here coming in from Nerve. And Halak is out there now on that Mercy, but does get sniped out the back there from Education, who's still up top, and he's just fallen down onto that point. We're seeing Flamefly on that Tracer. Well, we're heading into overtime now, so another Dragon Blade does come out there from Taitoku, but Blinkrupt able to blow him up, and I think that's going to be a hold here from Nerve. I guess, well, Hype Beast can try and get a Resurrect in all he likes, but it's not going to happen, and okay, so Shikis Harem fall just short of taking the point.
Yeah, that's going to be really good for. I'm
so excited, Queso. Nerve are just looking so strong at the moment.
I think they woke up after that first point, and I'm really excited for this second round because, as you said, they've got 86% to cap on second point. So long as they can get that first point in a reasonable amount of time, they should be able to breeze it. But it was looking a little bit strange there on the side of the attack for from Shiki, because again, I'm a little bit always a bit disheartened by continual sort of switching and, oh, if this isn't working I should change this, because it's a team game. You need to play the heroes that everyone will get benefit from, and the Sombra pick early on, a bit strange, not entirely sold on that. And then Widowmaker, that was doing a lot of work. Perhaps if they had just had that Widowmaker from the start, as as Education picked it up, quite early on. And I said I wasn't so convinced, and then he switched off, and I was like, okay, well, are you watching the stream or something? Because you need to play what's effective, and as you saw, they got the pick onto the Junkrat. Is that perhaps showing that it's ineffective? More, it's a debatable sort of thing. But if you're getting the key picks, then you keep that hero. But other than that, I think that their attack fell short a little bit in terms of a bit of coordination. I think I saw Rufio go for a hammer down with the enemy Ryan. I think Blinkrupt just had his shield up and it caught nothing. When you get desperate, there's a couple seconds left. I'm not so sure your psychological state, and I think that's perhaps they got into their own heads a little bit. But going for an attack now. Well, they're defending now. That's nice.
Alright, so RKM is going to be on this Brigitte to come in and attack with, and I think Nerve would be, well, they are looking very confident. They are just walk in on the point and they get that first tick straight away, and there's a Cameron on that Roadhog has already taken Jiffy out of mech. But we're seeing a Soldier 76 again from the other side. Education has a record of copying the picks of Flamefly tonight. Blinkrupt does get an awesome charge kill there onto Hype Beast, but that's about all he's going to get. LFNZ with that melee kill to finish off DJ Rufio, and this looks like a very, very clean point A attack in under 1 minute. Queso.
Yeah, I think it's starting to become that psychological game. I think that they didn't expect to hold first point based on how strong their defense, how strong Nerve's defense was, and now Nerve's on the attack. And
well, they have 7 minutes to get 2 and a bit ticks, but it is going to be the Riptire coming out there from Taitoka, and it does find Halak, so it's just going to be a little bit of a setback. This sort of stalling tactics aren't gonna help Shikis Harem too much, given that there's 6.5 minutes on the clock now, but I guess they can feel good about that.
Not contesting education up there on the high ground. They really need to.
We don't need no education. Yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested that he's playing.
Double negative.
Yeah, I don't need the education. Yeah, I'm interested how much Soldier 76 and Reaper we've seen tonight, so I guess that's interesting. The sound barrier does come out there from Flamefly now, who is playing that support role, so that's interesting. And it is going to be that whole hog coming out from Zerkamera, which does find Rufio and does take out that Riptide, but Education does get a trade pick onto him. And, well, things are looking a bit crazy now. We're seeing ultimates coming out from all over the place. Valkyrie, Rally, Tactical Visor. This is ridiculous. Shikis Harem do stabilize though, most importantly, and they are able to end that team fight. And I guess they drew a lot of ultimates out there from Nerve, and they're not going to really have anything to come in with other than their two of their tank ultimates.
Yes, at the end there, that anti-nade was very effective, especially because it denied Mercy's Valk healing and prevented, well, I suppose left the Mercy up in the air, sort of not doing much, and Education threw out that Visor, which was really good for them to keep the point.
Halak is able to get that Resurrect onto Elf though, so they're going to have an opportunity to come in here. I wouldn't be too worried about the clock at the moment, but I think mentally they will want to take a tick. But it is going to be difficult because I don't know what happened there, but Zerkamera did die, and so that's going to set back the attack even more now.
What's fortunate for Shikis Harem is they have, you know, all of their ultimates, so it's, you know, perhaps they were in their head a little bit after first point. They've got everything to hold this point, so yeah, Nerve may need to be a bit more tactical with what they deploy here, work together.
Well, perhaps they should just try drawing out some of these ultimates. They're at a massive disadvantage at the moment, so a couple of economy pushes could help them, but they're not really doing anything at the moment. They're just sort of poking and prodding, looking for a way in. Does look like,
as it's called in the business.
Don't use that sort of terminology here. Education with that Tactical Visor though does take out Halak, and so I think that's going to be a very swift end to that push there.
Unfortunate there, because yeah, Mercy, that's the second time she's popped wings and been met with the barrage of bullets from the Tactical Visor auto aim that makes swatting her out of the sky as effective as swatting a fly.
We are seeing some changes here for Nerve. Blinkrupt is playing that Diva now. I haven't seen that tonight. So Cameron on the Winston, which I don't think we've seen either. So Blinkrupt is switching back to that Reinhardt now. So they are sticking with that triple tank solo heals really at the moment composition. So and well, it's not really paying off. So Cameron just dives in there on Winston by himself and gets taken out quite quickly. I think Nerve perhaps choking a little bit. They've got 3 minutes to go, but they do have more than enough time to sort of reconsider this strategy, perhaps try a different team composition. Because Arcam getting a pick there onto DJ Rufio's not going to really help much if they can't follow it up, and Arcam loses his own life, and well, things are just going downhill from there. So they need to be a bit more considered in what they're doing at the moment. No.
Oh god. No.
LFNZ throws out a Graviton Surge there well after the fight's been lost. I think they're panicking a little bit. They came in with such a massive time bank, and they've sort of thrown it away. And they've got nothing to show for all of that time that they came in with.
That was a really unfortunate push there. The Graviton surged late. Monkey dove in to try and take advantage and popped his own ultimate. Like, it's just mistake after mistake, unfortunately.
And two, they've had a really hard time taking a reset. Like, some of these pushes are just going on forever. Look how split up they are as a team now, and this Riptide is going to go out and find one of them, and they're just going to sort of be in a pickle for another 30 seconds, and they don't have the time now because there's less than 20 seconds on the clock. And look, they're out of position though. Zoe Cameron on that Diva's gonna just about to lose his life and split up from the rest of the team. Jiffy does get D-Mech though, so that's gonna be an important kill. Zoe Cameron also gets D-Mech, so both Divas are out of their mech at the moment. There is about 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock now for Nerve to try and take nearly the whole point, essentially.
Yeah, they're just playing so split that no one's next to it, no one's like working together. As much as I hate to be negative, they need to just walk together as a team and not split up, and definitely, as is currently happening, you know, not take poke damage. As they're regrouping, they're just standing in.
Alright, well that look, the Dragon Blade does come out there from Flamefly, but he walks right into a Junkrat trap, and that's no good when you're using that Dragon Blade. LFNZ on the Hanzo now does find a pick onto DJ Rufio. Blinkrupt is able to take out Hype Beast on the Ana, and LFNZ is able to take out Totoku on that Junkrat, but Jiffy does get a trade, and LFNZ is down on that Hanzo now. And so both sides are brawling it out on the point. Still not a tick yet for Nerve, but they have got the numbers advantage. That Earth Shatter does come out from DJ Rufio with the Ana Nano Boost, and he's swinging his hammer around like crazy, and RKM is taken down. And Zoe Cameron is out of that mech, so things looking a little bit dire here now for Nerve with less than 15 seconds on the clock. And they are going to need to take a couple of kills here, but they are struggling. And this May pick is just proving to be so hard. Flamefly with a Dragon Blade isn't able to find anything. He's sort of being zoned off the point, and he gets hit with the Ana anti-nade. And oh my goodness, Nerve, what have they done? They haven't been able to take a single tick on their attack round on point B after a 7-minute time bank. They struggled so much. They were looking so good last map. They were looking so good on their defense round. They choked. And the winner of this match tonight is going to be Shikis Harem, who secure their second win. Unfortunately for Nerve, after round 4, they're on just one win in this season of AAOL. Okay, so what went wrong here for Nerve?
Unfortunately, they... Like their attack there on that final point. I think, to summarize, first two maps are very close and well-deserved wins towards Shiki's Harem at first map on Lijiang and Nerve on Rialto, respectively. But when it comes down to that final map and it's all to play for, Nerve's defense looked really solid, and then their first round attack, incredibly swift. But what can you do when you get to, you know, that large 7-minute time bank and everyone is panicking? Everyone's just like, we've got so easy to win, you know, there's not going to be around 3 or 4, we just need to get a small percent. But they took too much poke damage when they were regrouping, and, you know, as they were waiting for one person to come back, someone else died. They had to wait for another person to come, someone else died. And it was just this perpetual cycle of 10-second respawn timer after 10-second respawn timer. And unfortunately for them, they whittled down 7 minutes worth of attack time. So well done there on the part of...
Well, I wouldn't be giving Shiki's Harem too much credit there on that defense. Nerve, they threw away such a good opportunity there to win that map and ultimately the series, get their second win on the board, and they failed spectacularly. I don't think they have anyone else but themselves to blame after that. I was really disappointed, and they're going to be really disappointed in themselves as well, and really devastated after that loss because they were looking so good. So that's really unfortunate for them.
Yeah.
But that just about wraps it up for us here tonight. I'm not sure how many matches have been postponed to tomorrow, but if there are any, do keep an eye out on the AAOL Discord because we will aim to bring some of them to you here on stream. Otherwise, we're heading into week 5 of Season 4 next week, so we'll see you again on Saturday night Queso, thanks again.
Yeah, see you on Saturday.
Alright, guys. We will see you either tomorrow or on Saturday. So do keep an eye on the Discord. And thanks again for joining us tonight.
Bye-bye.